Okay, as you can see now, we've pulled the toilet forward by disconnecting this pipe here from the waste, which is there, and also disconnecting a couple of wires here which were holding the unit in. There's one of them there which we've taped around, and the other one's there, brown wire there with a yellow stripe. What I intend to do now, I've turned the water off there, wound that in, and what I'm going to do now is disconnect this pipe here, and then the whole unit will be detached from its location, and I shall be able to pull it out and have a better look at the back of the macerator, which I'll show you in a moment. Okay, so I've disconnected the pipe from there, which went onto here. You'll notice that the valve there, I had to turn around quickly because I'd actually got it wound in, which I thought was the closed position, but in fact you have to wind it out to close off the valve to stop the water coming out of this feed pipe here. So I've done that now, so the water is isolated, and I can move this unit now out and have a better look at the back of the macerator. Okay, now we've got the toilet up on its end, and we can clearly see the back face where the macerator is located, which is behind this plate here, and this is the macerator motor. What I did when it first started leaking was, when it was in situ, I put my hands round by the waste pipe there and there where it's mounted, and also onto the macerator there. I had my hand round here, which is the entrance to the actual bowl itself. I'd already checked the water supply to make sure that wasn't leaking, and I put my hand all the way around the plate here that is attached to the back plate, which is this grey matter here, and none of it was leaking. So it was my theory that it was the back side of this plate that was actually leaking, and I thought, well, where that macerator is, there's bound to be a gasket in there, so I'll just take it off and put a new gasket on. Well, as it happens, I had a second toilet, because when I bought the boat we got two macerator toilets, and I took one out, so put a porta potty in there so that we'd got the best of both worlds, fortunately. And I went to the shed and took the other macerator toilet that I've got spared, if you like, took apart, and this plate there is in fact this here. Okay, this is off the other one. Now, as you can see, probably if I photograph it properly, there isn't actually a gasket, but what it is a part of the actual plastic here is a sealing piece all the way around there, and if I pull this one up, you can probably see that it is a bit thinner at the bottom than it is around the top. And it's my theory that when I take this one off on the toilet, that it'll show the same thing, and that has then been leaking not on this face but on the back face and running down onto the floor. So to test this theory now, I'm going to actually take this macerator off the plate and see whether my theory is correct. Interestingly, when I undid the 9 screws around the macerator here, which if I point to there, you can see all the screws here, one there, one there, one there, one there, and all the way around. When I undid that, which by the way weren't tight at all, they came undone very, very easily, whereas the one on the other macerator toilet that I took apart, they were almost seized. Now when I put some blue loo, as you can see there, look, into the bowl, just to make it smell a bit nicer than it was at the time. and once I started to undo these screws, that blue has come straight through there, which proves that it wasn't leaking this side, and it also proves it wasn't the bowl that was leaking. You know, the actual ceramic, if you like, or the actual porcelain is leaking, and it's now dripping from that corner down into this bowl that I put there, as you can see, look. And I'll wait for that to clear and mop that up, and then we can get to take off this feed to the macerator. There's a clip around that side there, look, you can see, and there's another one there, so I'll undo those two and actually take this part off, and then we can get to the macerator itself. Okay, now you can see I've taken off that pipe now, undone those two clips, and we can remove that, move it out of the way, ready to take out the macerator. I've just played back one of the videos that I took earlier. I must remember to breathe. It sounds that I'm running a 10-minute mile, but anyway, there we go. So I'll start taking the screws off around there now. Right, I've taken off the housing now, as you can see. There's the impeller of the macerator. But looking underneath now to the actual macerator motor itself, and you can see this gungy, horrible mess there. And I'm going to have to investigate that to see whether in fact it is that motor gasket around there that's leaking, or what in fact is leaking. So yeah, back to the drawing board for the moment, because it could be leaking from the back of the flange. Anyway, I'll have a quick look in a moment. Right, I've now removed the macerator motor. In fact, there wasn't anything holding it, because the screws that go through these holes in the flange at the top here are in fact screwing straight in, these ones here, screw straight into the holes on the macerator flange there. And interestingly, where all that mark is there on the actual motor there, look, all that there sort of ties in with where this area is here, where it is actually blackened, whereas the rest of the steel around here is in fact dry and white. So I'm fairly convinced that that's where it was leaking, and going through there, through the back plate onto the motor, then dripping down onto the floor, hence the wet floor and so on. Okay, so what I'm going to do now, I've ordered some Fixaflex, which was recommended to me by the guy at the toilet manufacturers that I spoke to. And what I'm going to do, or what I intend to do, once I've cleaned up this area, once I've cleaned up round this flange, I'm going to put a bead of Fixaflex around there, and a bead of Fixaflex on the underside of here, as well as another bead on the top of here for this part here to go onto. And Fixaflex is not just a mastic, apparently it's also an adhesive as well. So I will feel reasonably confident that that will solve the problem. But hey ho, onward we go, as they say. What I shall also be doing, as you probably noticed, one of the wires is pulled out of there. So, and you can see the bare wire just under there, look. So that wasn't in particularly fast either. So I shall make up those joints first before I put it all back together, and also have a look at these here and make sure that everything is nice and tight when it goes into the control box. So that's the next plan. Well, there has been a 48-hour delay since the last part of this video, on the basis that this fix-all that was supposed to have been delivered was in fact delivered to the invoice address rather than where it was actually required, here on the boat. And as a result of that, I've had a 30-mile detour to actually go and fetch it and get it here. In the excitement of trying to fit it, I put Fix-A-Fall round the motor on the inside flange, around the baffle plate, and on the top plate ready to put the other part on. Unfortunately, I got into a right bugger's muggle, and I had mastic everywhere, and as a result of that, because I was trying to do it in situ with the this plate here in there, I was trying to fix the motor underneath here at the same time as fitting the top round here, and it just wasn't going to go. So don't make that same mistake. Do what I've done now and take the plate out completely and fit the motor first, put the screws in, pull it down tight, which is I've done. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to undo all of those screws around here, and put fix and flex around there, and then put that part there back on here to seal and put the screws back in. Doing it that way, this thing won't move, and it should all be okay. So we'll bash on with that and see how we get. I've now placed the fixer flex around the housing of the macerator motor, ready to place the housing here onto it, and then to place the 9 screws which are located down there and screw it up so that it's all sealed. Okay. Right, we've now put the macerator motor flange plate back on, as you can see, and also the pipe which connects the bowl to the macerator, and also the one I've connected, that one which is the outlet of the macerator, which goes through here, and that will attach to the waste pipe when I turn the unit back over and around. I've connected back the wires which were disconnected before, and made sure they're all nice and tight. The one that's left there is in fact connected to one of the wires that's down the back there, which will become evident when I can turn the unit round. I put some PTFE tape around the threaded part there, which is the inlet for the water, just to make sure that doesn't leak, and it's now ready to be turned up back on its legs and finish off those few connectors. Okay, right, there's the unit now back upright. I connected the last few wires and also the waste and the water feed from the last video you could see, and it's all now ready to be tested. However, I'm going to leave it overnight, probably till tomorrow afternoon, to make sure that the mastic has had time to cure, and hopefully then everything will be okay. But until tomorrow, we don't know, but I'm sure it will be. Okay. Hi there. Well, we've had to revisit the toilet situation, I'm afraid. Having been on holiday for a week or so, we came back to find that there is signs of water coming from around the base of the toilet yet again. So I've totally disrepaired. I've taken it apart again, haven't I? Let me just see. Where are we? Well, carrying on from my last video, you will remember I took the toilet and rebuilt it with parts from another toilet. Ultimately, I had to bin the whole thing because the motor was burnt out, and it was just not salvageable. I couldn't get the parts. So our friends at Midland Chandlers in Willington have sold me this wonderful piece of equipment, costing £1,000, but a very substantial toilet in enamel, the wife's delighted with it, so that's the main thing. So what I'm doing now is installing it in the position that the other one was in, but I've had a few technical problems. First of all, I had to put the control panel into the wall. I cut all that out, and that fits in there nicely now with a cover that fits over that. So that's all very good, and push button there to do that. But what I did do is I've installed it a couple of times already. Let's get rid of that water. And I ultimately had to phone our friends at Wellington, who passed me on to Aquafax, and spoke to a very nice guy there. And when I eventually cottoned on to what we were doing, what we actually have got here is this solenoid valve here was in fact the wrong way round, so the toilet was basically continually filling, and the solenoid was not cutting out the water. So I've changed that all round now, and it's ready to be installed. You'll see this wonderful conglomeration at the back here. I've had to redo all of this in pipe work and new clips to get this pipe here to line up with the actual waste pipe here that goes down into the tank. Get rid of this tissue now, it's all very wet from our last leak. So I'll get that out of the way. And now I'm ready to put this back into there. That'll go around the back of there. This will go into the pipe work there, and hey presto, we will connect that up to the water flow on here, and then we should be able to get the thing flushing correctly and cutting out at the correct level. There is actually on the back of here a flow meter, well, call it what you will. It's actually a gauge here that tells you plus or minus for water refill. I've been advised to put that right back to minimum and then turn it up bit by bit. Now that I've got it back out of there, because I'd installed it before and screwed it all in, very proud of myself and all that, only to find that the control was on the back and I had to take it out again. But these are the joys of boating, of course. Anyway, so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to put all this down. I'm going to connect that up there, put some PTFE tape around that there, and connect the waste here onto there, and put the water feed onto this part here, and then give it a whirl. So I'll come back to you in a moment. As you can now see, we have the toilet in position. I've put the wooden surround back to cover the pipes down the side there. We've decided that I was going to put some wood all the way around, but we have actually decided that that small gap that there is there, it won't go any further back, I'm afraid, because of the waste pipe and so on. But we've decided, or my wife has, that that's okay. As you can see, I've put the control panel back in, the lights on green, and it's all ready to use now. I have to confess that since my last video where I showed you the waste, sorry, not the waste, the water pipe, and that being put in place, that in fact leaked probably twice. Not a great deal, just a few spots on a tissue, but nevertheless I didn't want it to leak at all. So I did actually take all of the parts apart, all of the joints apart, even the ones that I hadn't taken apart before, and reconnected them, put a lot more PTFE tape around, and I've just checked it this morning, and it's all nice and dry now. So looking into the bowl, you'll see that there is now a reasonable water level there, just above the where the waste goes out, which I think is probably the right level. I did have to play around with that little valve a couple of times to get that to that level, but now what we do is press the button, and straight away it starts to fill, and then it works. There you go. Water gone. You hear the macerator come in now. That's the macerator, and then the water coming back in to the required level. Not too noisy, this one, compared with the old one, so as you would expect, I suppose, from a new toilet. But that, I would say, is a very positive piece of equipment. It has got a soft closed lid as well, which my grandson will be delighted about, because he was always frightened that the old one was going to chop him off in his prime. So that's a nice soft close now, so that will please him no end. And I think you'll agree, it looks the part. So, one toilet unit complete. An unexpected job, I must confess, but something that had to be done. You can't really do without a toilet. We have got, as I showed you before, a porta potty, because we've got two. That's the bathroom, and in here we have the toilet, and we have a porta potty in there. So we have the best of both worlds for the winter season. So when we can get down for a pump out, we'll be using that one, and in the event that the lake here freezes over, we'll be able to stop using this and use the porta potty, and I can go and empty it as and when. So thanks for watching. I'll keep you informed about the next video when something else catastrophic needs repairing. Okay.